that our province is the hot spot for COVID right now. We have more people in the ICU and more people dying than we did in the first, second, third waves. It's really bad. But Paul, you've got everybody coming back through. I'm coming back through your speaker, and I heard Maggie through yours. I don't know what.
Well, that's interesting. I'm not having that issue. I've had to reboot my computer. I think I'm back now, and we're live. So I guess this is the San Carlos Computer Club. I've been listening to your COVID update. Oh, I'm Scott Stimson, the tech person, here to hopefully answer any of the questions you might have. If not, I'll do some Google searches or try to bring topics back to you. You know, I got an update. Anchorage looks horrible. Alaska's rate is just like one of the worst in the nations right now. And we still have the same mayor saying we can't imagine what we could do better. But a lot of us are saying, we'll make a mask mandate, shut down businesses, stop encouraging people to get sick. And so I noticed in the news yesterday that the Anchorage Assembly is going forward on a vote for a mask mandate to go around the mayor's unwillingness to put together a mandate. And it's the worst numbers since this stuff, at least since last summer. How's everybody doing? I see Linda, I see Judy, I see Chester, Paul, Bill, Fred, Maggie. It's so great to have you all with us today.
So Scott,
yes.
Did you see the email I sent you about the Cloud Plus?
I did. I stuck it in our document, and I was hoping that you would have something to say about it.
I really don't, other than I got that email this morning that said you've been automatically upgraded to Cloud Plus, and it includes all this stuff. So anyway, I'm automatically upgraded.
That's awesome. Now, were you already a what did they call it? iCloud One?
Subscriber? Yes.
What was your subscription plan? I think that's the question I'm trying to ask.
I have no idea. The basic was $99, and then I upped it to the $2.99. So I don't know.
Because I think what you're looking at is a tier.
So I don't know what it was.
Change its features, and they're putting it under a new name. So it's the same price that you've been paying, but now you get all the new features.
Also, I was having an issue with my iPad.
Okay.
So the issue was iPad, and the only thing it showed me was me. I could not switch the camera around.
Oh.
So I tried and I tried and I researched it and I researched it and I didn't find an answer. And so I called Apple support. Since I have Apple Care, I might as well use it. And she didn't know the answer. So I'm researching while she's researching, and come to find out you cannot use portrait mode on an iPad unless you're taking a selfie, because it does not have the option to use portrait mode on an iPad to take like a picture of a flower. If I wanted to take a picture of me, sure. This is my iPad.
Wait, so you're saying
that's what we were discovering.
You're saying if you hold the iPad like this, you can take a picture. Mm-hmm. But if you hold it like this, it's taking a landscape picture. No? I'm not understanding. This is portrait, right?
I am saying, well, okay, there's a portrait setting on my phone or on my iPad, a portrait setting.
Okay.
It goes from photo, portrait, portrait, panorama, slow-mo, blah, 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 blah. But portrait only works to take a selfie. It does not work to take a portrait photograph of like something in front of me, like a flower or something.
Okay,
You guys
Cheryl
are
has
using two
something to
different
comment.
terms. Two different terms. One, a portrait setting on an iPhone frames the person. It makes a blur around it. It is a specific photographic term. The term that Scott was referring
Right, I
to,
know.
the difference between orientation.
Right.
One is portrait and one is landscape.
That's why
So-
I said photo setting.
Yeah, okay.
The photo setting portrait it does a filter, and it puts blurring in the background. It
I got you.
focuses
Okay.
on the person. But we also mentioned last week about the selfie mode. Selfie mode used to be very basic, and basically you turned the camera, and it was taking a picture of you, and it would take a reverse image. And they've set it now so that it takes a portrait in selfie mode, and it reverses the people so that they are on the correct side, and it does things to it. So selfie.
Well, this is not the issue.
Portrait.
The issue is you cannot take a portrait photo with an iPad unless it's a selfie.
Well, that's because they're using the word portrait to mean selfie.
No.
Well, it sounds like they're using the term portrait to describe this photo mode instead of orientation. And so it's a photo mode called portrait that you can't use unless it's in a selfie mode. I think I'm understanding. I think you're both saying is correct. And it's the first time I've heard of it.
On my phone, I can take a portrait of a flower. I cannot take a portrait of a flower with my iPad because it only works as a selfie.
Right.
Does that make more sense?
You
Interesting.
have to hold the flower in your teeth.
Right, like this.
That's
and
right.
then the other thing he said was, well, have you done the newest upgrade to 15? And I said, no, and I won't do it for a while. So there's a new update out as well, 15.
Yeah, because of that update, I always remind you guys that I'm not interested in an update like that until it's 15.1 at the very least.
Right.
And then 15.1, you have to wait a couple of weeks just to see if anybody's complaining about it, because maybe you want to wait for 15.2.
So if you look at that update, the information about it online, it says don't get rid of your 6S yet, because 15 will add a lot of things to it.
Yes, well, the 6S is going to get the update, so that's impressive.
Yes.
That's very old equipment. Did you see that the 13 has been launched? They've got the 13, they've got the 13, they've got a mini, they've got the new iWatches and the new iPads. And actually, I think the iPad to look at, I don't know if you guys have been noticing, but the new iPad is the low end of everything. The new iPad is using the A13 chip, whereas everything they announced the other day is using the A15 chip. And that includes the iPad mini. And I think the iPad mini is really looking like one of the most impressive things that they're offering, that they announced this last time around. It's getting really close to that goal I have of wanting a watch that can make phone calls and a screen in the car for when I need a larger screen. It's that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I think it was $699
for the mini.
Yes.
Yeah, and it comes with the same processor that's in all the iPhone 6s and is being used across the iPhone Pro line, that A15 chip. And so you are able to take advantage of all that technology. They showed off some really interesting photo effects, but they also have front and back facing cameras that are on par with some of the phones that they mentioned. In fact, most of the reviewers that I had listened to were talking about how it was a very iterative upgrade and not interesting enough to go from an iPhone 12 to an iPhone 13. But you definitely, if you're going to want it's not a question of whether you want the 12 or the 13. If you've got an iPhone 6, you're in line to upgrade and you want the 13. It's just that next TikTok of iteration. And so it's very impressive compared to a 6, but it's not impressive enough to pull you out of your 12 and upgrade up to a 13. Whereas the Mini, that's an amazing upgrade, a lot of power, a much bigger screen, and it's being offered at that low price point, that $699 price point. I think I'm trying to talk myself into buying it. What I like was the video editing with that processor. I mean, what they're selling you is a mini video editing, video capturing device. It has the software they were showcasing where it can do multiple focal points. So they actually preached about its artificial intelligence in the camera software. And they demoed for us, and I haven't seen anything yet. Nobody has this in their hands to determine whether this is actually working or not. But they demoed for us the ability to look and capture a scene where you're looking at a subject in the foreground, and then in the background has that bokeh effect, that blurring. And then when the subject looked behind them, the artificial intelligence was supposed to be able to understand that motion and move the focus behind the subject automatically, understanding that was the direction of interest. Hey, you know what? I'm sorry to do this. My wife had car problems this morning, and she's just now trying to call me. I'm going to cut out for a moment and let you guys talk amongst yourself. I need to find out what's going on.
So Bill, you were showing your watch. Bill. Is it new?
No, Judy, I was scratching my arm.
Oh, I see, and you're bleeding.
Probably. No, I have a new a new smartwatch. It sits over here on the charger. I don't use it anymore. I don't like having to recharge a damn thing every night, and then I forget, and then it goes dead. But I don't use the features. I don't find it very useful.
And
it's my free one, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't pay anything for it.
Judy, I'm looking at my iPhone. It's a 6S, and we got that upgrade iPhone to 14.8, and it was an emergency thing. Well,
now there's a 15.
And I just looked, and it says that I can upgrade to 15. But the thing is, I've got automatic updates on, and it doesn't look like it did that 14.8 one. And all of a sudden, all of my apps have to be reloaded and reset every single time I go to use anything.
You haven't, go ahead and do the 14.8. I did that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
Okay, Scott, how do I find out what the chip is in this iPad?
It's an A12.
How do you know that?
Because I'm me.
Aren't
I the one that recommended you buy that iPad?
Yes.
But you just said A15.
The A15 is in the new iPad mini that isn't on the market yet.
Oh.
You can
Yeah, actually this week I think it's on the market.
Yeah, you can order it.
Yeah. I think the phones and the pads were going to be available this week, and then the watch is coming soon. But the A12 chip is an awesome chip, and that was a great price point, and I'd be very happy to have that equipment. What they've done is they've incrementally updated that iPad that you have to the A13 chip. So they've just gone up an iteration. And then why I'm talking about the Mini is just it's amazing that they would take their top-end mobile processor, stick it in a mid-size tablet with all the features and functionality of that higher-priced tablet, and then give it a price just under $700. It's very impressive. I can imagine myself using the Mini as a video production system, taking it out, taking video with it, hooking it up to a dock so I could have it on a bigger screen so that I could do video editing with it using Apple systems. I mean, essentially, they're tablet computers, but they're the highest end tablet computers that have ever existed. So I think the Mini is looking like a fairly decent. I want to see it marketed. I want to see what I just described. It's like, here's a dock for the Mini, so you can hook it up to a bigger screen, use your Bluetooth keyboard. You remember that with I think it was iOS 13, they added trackpad capabilities. So it's not inconceivable at this point that device, I think it's a 6.5-inch screen. That device could be the thing you grab the same way 20 years ago you grabbed a video camera. That you just grab that device and you take it out to the activities that you're doing. That's your camera, that's your video system. Your phone is charged in your pocket, but this has a nice screen on it that's big enough that you can see what you're capturing. And then you bring it back to your desk, you stick it in a dock, it displays on a larger screen with a keyboard and a trackpad or a mouse, and you do your video editing right there on that same device. Maybe you pay for iCloud and your final results are all getting stuck up into the cloud, so it's being backed up regularly. I can envision this. I'm seeing parents of children going, this is the device that we need to buy because we have toddlers and we're going to do school plays and activities and things. Did anybody pay any attention to the Apple review, the release? It was pretty typical stuff.
No.
Well, if you do get back to it at some point, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about it. I'm looking at our list of possible topics. Did anybody bring a topic that I didn't get on this list? I don't see Jim Cunningham here, but he had sent me an article about ExpressVPN. However, I haven't had a chance to read it. If he's not here to talk about it, I may just hang on to it for next week, so I'll have a chance to read it. And if any of you don't have the link to this document, I will paste it into our chat right now.
Scott, speaking of your that mini tablet again, they have devices that that hold a tablet with gyroscope gimbals so that it stays perfectly level and still for taking high-end video.
Yeah, I really think that this device, we're finally there. I think that it's consumer priced, it's high enough powered, it's feature full. And what you're describing came on the scenes a few years ago. for both tablets and and they've just gotten better. These gimbals, these stabilizing gimbals that will you can shake them up and down and they will stay focused on. That's another part of the software as well that I have not tested, but it's supposed to be able to follow. It's got that. The last release they talked about it's Cinema Motion or something. I can't even remember the name of it now. This is what happens when we're just pulling stuff out of my brain. But you can set it up like on a tripod, and it will zoom in. It will decide what the subject is and zoom into it, and then as other subjects join it, it will back off. And it'll move around, it'll pan, even though the device is stable, the recording will pan across the scene of its wide lens, bringing in what it thinks is the subject. This is crazy.
There's
anyway,
Jimmy's in.
Jim's here. Hello, Jim.
That's because I sent him a message and I said, Scott's talking about you. Are you coming?
Hey, Jim, I was just mentioning that we do you have our topic list? Because I stuck what you sent me on the topic list. Here, I'm going to send it again. And but I haven't had a chance to read about ExpressVPN's horrible, no good, very bad week. And I was thinking if you had read the article, you could explain to us what that's all about. Otherwise, I'll save it for next week. But with volume, with
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in a nutshell, ExpressVPN has been acquired by another company that has had a very bad reputation for putting malware on phones and so forth. And in the last year and a half has gone on a buying spree for an awful lot of VPNs. And then most recently bought 2 websites that rate VPNs. So there is a question at this point about how safe ExpressVPN will be in the future going forward. So it's worth taking a look at.
I'm on mute. Wow, so I didn't read the article at all, but what you're describing sounds really horrific for ExpressVPN customers.
Yes, it does.
Those sound like exactly the entities that should be regulated not to be able to buy these kinds of things.
Exactly.
ExpressVPN they have made a reputation on security and reliability to be sold to a company that has a reputation of putting malware onto people's equipment. Along with, did you say that there was another company that's part of that acquisition that writes reviews?
Well, as part of their acquisition strategy, not only have they bought up a half a dozen or more VPN companies, they've also bought up 2 websites that purport to rate VPNs.
Oh, wow. So are you saying that they actually bought more than one VPN company and then they bought reviewist sites that review VPNs? Oh,
Bingo.
Wow.
Yes, they bought PIA, which is thought to be a very good web VPN also.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, I just read the same article. It's very interesting. You ought to read the complete article.
I'll get a chance to read it this week. This is some scary stuff. The next thing you're going to tell me is this is actually a front-end company for an American intelligence organization.
Hey, Dave, didn't they mention something about that?
Only if you're lucky.
Don't ever forget that both Facebook and Google used startup funds from both the American intelligence organizations, the FBI and the NSA, have funds to. It's cheaper to fund startups that'll bring technology that collect the information than it is to send agents out looking for the information.
I'll be damned.
And that's exactly what they did. Both those companies were started up by government agencies' slush funds of investment capital.
So what was If I can ask Dave to repeat, what was the alternate to Express that Dave was talking about?
It's an alternate, but it's also owned for the last year by the same company. And everyone calls it PIA, private, whatever it is.
PIA, yeah. I've heard of that.
They're known for super privacy and not tracking anything. On the subject of VPNs, I've been playing around trying to get location to work for me and discovered more things. Roku is interesting. Basically, Roku, when you create your account, where you are located when you create it determines your location. It can never be changed, period. The only way you can change your location with Roku is to create another account. Now, to do that, you need to give them an email and password, and that email's location where it was created must also identically match the location that you give to Roku. So if you want to have a Roku account defined to a specific location to get local TV, you must create an email that thinks you're in that location, then create a Roku account in that location, and then you can go to link your Roku to that account, and then start in with the different providers, which are also keeping location in a lot of spots, one of which I found happens to be also in the cache.
What?
Well, before you get into that, Dave, I just want to reiterate what you just said. This is absolutely true. Anybody that's been using Rokus in San Carlos learned this a while back, that if you wanted to have access to the American side of things using a VPN, then you needed to set up your Roku as though it was in the United States before you get here, or using the VPN. I always recommend to do it at home first, because who knows what kind of problem you might run into on a VPN. I think setting it up with a VPN here, if you're a Roku user, is kind of a last resort. Like, you got here and you're like, oh, damn it, I didn't set it up. Because you don't know what kind of problems you might run into. Whereas setting it up while you're in the States, you're not going to run into problems. So I always recommended that first.
The catch I didn't realize is it's tied also to the email of when you set it up.
Well, and I've never heard that before. In fact, I have literally deleted a Mexican Roku account. And maybe that's the catch, because I had deleted it, removed it using Roku's methodology for removing the account, and then gone and set up a U.S. account using the same email address without a problem. It's been a while, but I definitely remember doing that.
Well, things definitely seem to be changing in the last few months. I'm seeing far more sites blocked and apps blocked.
Oh, this ExpressVPN, I apologize for not getting a chance to read it. I'm going to go to it as soon as I get a chance, because that's some notorious stuff going on right there. It's amazing that kind of acquisition could go through without people paying attention.
Yeah, definitely everyone ought to read it. It's very interesting.
Like people who would pay attention, you know?
Regulators, like
Really?
SEC. Yeah, you would hope that we would be seeing all this regulation news coming up, but no, this is a bunch of nerds paying attention to this.
But don't
Still worried
forget,
about radio at the FCC.
they aren't a U.S. company.
Say that again?
They are not a U.S. company. Hardly any VPN is.
Oh, that's a good point.
I didn't realize that. So you're saying ExpressVPN is not a U.S.-based company?
Correct.
I didn't know that.
That's true of almost 100% of the VPNs.
Where are they usually located?
Well,
Yes, I forgot. I've read it.
Dave's tone of voice makes it sound like they're usually located outside the United States.
Yeah, But where?
One
I
of them
wonder.
is located in Switzerland. I remember that, and it could be ExpressVPN.
Hey guys, get ready. We got the 10-minute warning popped up. I hope you've got the other meeting link. You might just take a moment and get it ready. I'm just looking for it now.
Let us know when the countdown is.
I will. I will.
Yeah.
It's telling us we have to ask to join, so you have to be in there before we
Yeah,
can do anything.
let's suck it for all it's worth. Let's try and stay here to the last minute.
Okay.
I don't want to jinx it.
Okay, I had a surprise for breakfast today.
Oh, wait a second, Dave. Before you get too far away, I just
tequilas, which almost nobody does.
you're
Oh.
at Tequilas.
So how was
So
tequila?
you're still there in San Carlos. Great.
Yeah, tequilas. With the food was very good. The price was very low. I had chilaquiles with chicken on it for 95
You're
pesos.
going to make us all cry. That is what we're
Stop it. Stop it right
doing.
now.
Stop it, stop it. Bill's going to have big alligator tears.
I'm already
He always has
crying.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
But
Well, see, this
we
way I
can-
can afford to do things like eat out by being down here in San Carlos.
Well,
Good point.
well, and you're supposedly safe. We changed governments, and now we're in the green.
No, we're not green. We're yellow.
We're yellow.
No, we went from orange to yellow to green, from what I heard last. I saw pictures.
I saw pictures and we were still yellow.
Yeah,
Some
we were
orange,
yellow
green.
up to like 3 days ago, I think.
Oh, okay.
Tell me about the government change.
We just have new mayor, new assembly, stuff like that. It was when the change took over. We have new governor,
New
It's-
commissario.
new commissario. That's right.
who's commissario?
I don't know. I got a WhatsApp from him, but I can't remember his name.
I don't remember
So,
his
wait,
name.
is-
Actually, if you're curious, I can find out. I got it right in front of me.
Can you
here.
re-elect the commissario, or is it just a one-term thing?
It's appointed.
It's appointed.
Appointed.
No, it's elected, and they've always appointed it.
Commissario's elected?
It's supposed to be
No.
everywhere else except for Wymus. The commissario is a sheriff
Wymus.
position, and it's supposed to be held by election. And
Yeah,
Wymus's
but you just
government.
said Wymus. We are Wymus.
I know it's supposed to be elections, and it's one of the
Oh,
big grievances that Wymus has with their politicians, is that the Wymus government has always assigned the sheriff. I think the first time it was elected was the last one we had.
Enrique?
Enrique
Yeah,
was appointed, I thought.
Was he appointed?
Boy, I don't know.
I don't know. I know that it's something that people have complained about for years.
I think
Well, it's
they're
too bad
appointed by the Guaymas mayor.
Yeah,
I think Enrique
yeah.
was very good. He was
Oh, yeah.
very effective and easily talked to, and yeah.
I agree. I think he was great. He was easy to communicate with, and he would jump on stuff that actually I didn't feel like was his responsibility, but somebody needed to be responsible for it.
An interesting thing around town
Javier.
happening these days is lots of short-term power failures. And
Yep.
a lot of that is because of all the building that's going on. I know our neighborhood with these huge, expensive Mexican homes was only planned for 70 amp service per house, which means 2 large air conditioners would do that, of central units, not mini splits. And a lot of the other subdivisions were only planned, and they might even have only 40 amp meters. And so they're exceeding the transformer capacities in a lot of these things and getting a lot of short-term knockoffs of electricity.
Ooh.
We probably in the last month had 4 or 5 different ones, and sometimes it'll last like 5 seconds. Sometimes it'll last maybe as long as 15 minutes, but we had like, I think 4 different outages within a half 24-hour period of day before yesterday.
Wow.
Wow, we haven't had that in our area, but in my area specifically, just on my block, we've had probably 4 power outages in less than a month. And they've lasted anywhere from 15 minutes to hours before
Wow.
we had one day we hit 2 hours and my daughter and I jumped in the van and just drove around San Carlos in the air conditioner because we couldn't survive.
Makes sense.
She's like, "What are we gonna do? We're sitting here sweating." I'm like, well, "We're gonna go for a drive."
There was a couple of notable deaths in San Carlos last week.
Go ahead, Paul.
A couple notable deaths in San Carlos last week. One was a fellow that was a volunteer with the animal welfare group that was the spay and neutering, and I forget his name, but it's in Viva San Carlos, a big obituary.
John, something with a B.
Yeah, John Von Horst.
Yeah.
He was absolutely great. He was also part of our mail group, and he would always pick up everything, including every box. He frequently would get charged at customs coming in, pay the bill himself, and might try to collect from people, try to do him donations. But I know one time he lost 5,000 pesos and just, ate it himself. That's just the type of guy he was for everything.
And the other was
sad.
Becky Burr.
Yeah, I heard about Becky, and I heard her husband's still in bad shape.
She was a singer at the community church.
Yeah, I guess what I heard. What I heard was that they're sick at home with oxygen, and boy, I am getting some real feedback from somebody's speakers. I don't get it, but yeah, that finally she passed away, and that he's still sick. Okay.
I'm not getting feedback, but I see on the count we have 3 minutes.
Are we ready to move over?
A very good friend of mine.
Chester, do you want to go ahead and we'll switch over to the other group after Chester's done here?
Yeah, 2 days ago, a very good friend of mine from Loma Del Mar passed away, named Jackie Carpenter. I don't know if any of you knew her or knew the Carpenters. Very nice people. Friends for many, many years.
Was this
Actually,
also
quite a few COVID deaths in the last week or two also?
I was going to ask if that was also a COVID death.
We don't know.
Okay. Jim, what were you going to say?
That's my question is are all these COVID deaths, I wondered.
Yeah.
But, I guess if the people aren't being tested and we don't know.
Right.
Von Horst was not, definitely. But the others, I think most of them were.
What a different state of affairs we're in now versus last year. I think we were sitting around talking about how nobody was sick and we were in the red. And now here we are in yellow, at least yellow, but I think we're in green. And we've got all these stories of COVID deaths that have happened recently. Odd, very odd. Should we switch over to the other meet? I will
Let's switch.
Set it up right now. It'll come up. Here it comes. I need to get in there to let people in. So if you're sitting there and not able to enter, it's because I'm not in there yet.
See you there.
Come on, come on. You'll be able to join in just a moment, it says. Dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun dun. Here we go. Joining now. Let's see everybody that wants to join this call. All right, there we go. That was a smooth transition.
Seamless. Didn't even have time to go for coffee.
That's right. All right, we're all back. Good to see your smiling
Not
faces.
smiling yet, though.
There's Dave.
All right.
I hope everyone can hear me okay. Okay, awesome.
Well, there's a lull in the action. We're staying at our son's house in Ottawa right now, and he's got, I think it's Prime TV or something. And so we've been watching Mrs. Maisel. We're really enjoying that. It was one of the recommendations you gave us, and it's been quite fun. Even he's watching it with us too. Lots of belly laughs.
And you're in the location of our new prime minister, our old prime minister, our re-elected. We had an election day yesterday, guys. So.
Yeah, it was funny. I didn't get the vote. It was a terrible thing because, unfortunately, the absentee ballot, I was actually at the place and I didn't have my voting card and Carolyn wasn't with me. I could have just used 2 pieces of ID and gone in and voted. But I thought, I'll just do it on the election day. And if you're going to be an absentee ballot, you have to do it before on one of the advanced polls. So we were rejected at the place, Carolyn and I both, but we're quite happy that our MP was returned. So he didn't need our vote, thank goodness. I kept thinking if he loses by 2 votes, I'll be upset.
That's the bad part.
Yeah. So I was on pins and needles, and I did stay up until 1 a.m. to listen to all the speeches by leaders afterwards. Well, they were not inspiring, and so I thought the best line of the night of all was that it cost $600 million to run an election in Canada. It's not as expensive as in the United States, but still it's a fair amount of money because all we really got out of it is a cabinet shuffle, which I don't know whether it's just like naming some new secretaries in the United States government. So not much difference, but that's okay. I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
I like the idea that you all have a finite time that you can that they can campaign.
Yes, there's
some days or something.
It's got to be minimum 36 days, and there's a maximum. I think I don't know what it is, 50 or something like that.
I think that's wonderful.
It is.
From beginning
Well,
to
it
end.
keeps it from going on for 4 years.
In
What?
5 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, the election campaign was 5 weeks from the day he called the election till it was over. So you got 5 weeks of listening to it.
Can somebody send Linda the code?
I just sent it to Jim Cunningham.
Linda needs it.
Here comes
How
Maggie.
would I contact Linda?
Oh,
Tell her it's
If
in her
you
email.
can text Linda. Well, I told Jim that too, but I just sent it to Jim Cunningham. So
Well, Maggie just joined us. Maggie, you found the code without a problem? Excellent. Excellent. We were just talking about Canadian elections, which I know very little of because I'm a proud American.
There you go.
American.
How long does
I'm
it
a
take you to
proud
drive
American.
across? You never drive across.
Canada?
You always fly.
No, I grew up though. My
He
folks
just
were
jumped
here just a
over.
moment ago. I feel like I grew up driving through Canada from the time I was 8 until I was a teenager. My folks owned a bubble top camper van, and my extended family lived all along the Northwest. They're in Washington and Oregon and California. And so every summer we would drive down through Canada to go visit them, spend the summer, and then drive back up at the end of the summer. So I feel like I grew up driving the Alcan and the Cassiar highways. I have extensive experience in the Yukon and British Columbia. Oh, here comes Jim.
Scott, why don't you invite your parents to this meeting? Because I bet they're having the same problem, not knowing the code.
Yeah, let's see.
Linda's here.
And Jim's here too, but only because we sent them codes.
Right.
Let me open up.
Isn't the code in the email that he sends us? Isn't that?
It is.
Yes.
I just
Yes.
clicked
Yeah,
on
both
it,
there,
and
the
I don't
second
know
code.
anything.
It is,
That's a good
and
idea
it's
doing
on the
the two
website.
meetings.
Yeah, well, if they're going to take
Some
away,
people just,
I've been
sorry,
I've
Cheryl.
been-
some
I've been
people
gone
just
so
go with
long, I
the code.
wasn't sure I
Oh.
knew what to do.
Linda just said that she did.
I'm sorry, Judy, you broke up there. What did Linda say?
I said, Linda Gerber just texted me and said she did not get the email that you sent out with the code.
Okay. Well, then we forgive you for not being here, Linda. It's okay. Don't feel bad.
No, she's here.
But she is here.
I'll forward it to her.
Well, she's gone above and beyond then. Thank you, Linda. Well, the code doesn't change. So if you have any email, for the last 3 or 4 meetings, you should have both code numbers.
I
and I'm
just
trying to
A
bring-
lot of people are still going from the. I think a lot of people are
I
still
got
going
it.
from the very original emails, Scott, and that code has remained the same. It's the new code, though. But isn't there a way we can just invite people to this meeting?
You mean other than the way we've been doing it? Like, for example, I'm trying to bring up
Right,
Facebook
just-
Messenger right now
You're
to
the
pass my
host.
mom the code. Yeah. You could be watching the
Yeah.
YouTube.
So I thought that you as host, can't you send them a
Oh.
message to?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well,
And they
I mean,
come
what it
right
would
in?
come, yeah, what it would turn into is an email. It'd be another email. Because that's essentially what you're doing, is you're just sending an email to invite somebody. I was thinking my mom would be on Facebook, and I could just send her the link. And so there she is.
Oh, see, I thought. Okay. I thought when I hosted meetings, I could just go to the list of all the members or show everyone. And there was usually a line in there that says invite and
Right here, add people.
yeah, my contacts or what.
But when you do that, what
You're
it
the only
does
one that
is
has that.
when you do that, all you're doing is sending another email. That's what I was saying, is like you could just send a link to the meeting through email, or you could send it through Messenger. That's why I was trying to send it through Messenger, because I see moms on Messenger now. For some reason, my Messenger client is moving incredibly slow, and it's not letting me put the link in it. Come on. Function. Now it's mad at me because I tapped it too many. There we go. Paste. There. So I've just sent her the link to the meeting in Messenger. But that's essentially all you're doing. When you hit this add people, then you are pulling from your contacts and you're sending a pre-built email message. So they'd have to be looking in email for that link. Whereas if they are, then they should also be finding all the emails I ever send every week for us to meet.
Well, I cleaned up my email because Google told me that I had to, and I deleted all of your previous messages. So.
All right. Hey,
You're an email
one of the
hoarder, are you?
things. One of the things that I've been meaning to bring up, and I've had it on our list of topic ideas for a while now, is I don't know if you guys are paying attention to the Gmail app that installs in your phone, but recently, like in the last couple of months, they've redesigned the Gmail app, at least on Android. Jim, I'm going to mute you because I think we've got some rogue sounds coming through. The app on, at least on Android, I haven't verified this on iOS, has mail and chat rooms and this Meet all integrated into the same app. And so when you go into the Gmail app on your phone, at the bottom, there is a series of buttons that allow you to choose what activity you want to do with your Google account. I want to bring it up right now. I don't know if you can see my screen here. It's the colorful M for Gmail. It was there for a second. Let me try that again. The Gmail button there, if you can see it, that colorful M. And when you go in there, now at the bottom of the mail window is that button bar, mail, chat, spaces. It was called rooms last time I looked in here, but okay. Spaces and Meet. And what's happening is the Google Hangout is disappearing. So the app that was used for Google Hangout is disappearing. The Meet, you used to have a separate Meet app. That's going to go away as well. And it's all going to happen inside this Gmail app. It looks like the Spaces is the room. Like we have a San Carlos Computer Club room that has not been updated since August 2022, but you can go back through that room and you can see our conversation. This is when I actually see our conversation from when we were playing with Zoom and we were trying different things. This was just a Google Chat for multiple users that we were using right at the beginning of all this stuff. Well, not at the beginning. This is the last time we used it was August, but we got into it in March. And so this is interesting because this eliminates 3 different apps and incorporates it all under the same app. Hey, there's Mom. Mom made it.
Whoa, that was rough.
I'm glad you finally found it.
Yeah, well, I had you all ready to go on the old stream where I pulled up the chat section, or where you post things, and then all of a sudden you were gone, and so was all of that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have a good system. Here now.
Well, we're happy to have you guys back. We were thinking about you. I sent the link to you on Facebook Messenger because I saw you were on Messenger as well.
I was all over the place and everything showed September 14th.
Well, you know what? Any of that stuff that I've sent you before, those codes are still good codes.
Yeah.
So you can use an old email to get to the latest meeting.
Yeah, I must not know how to do that because I kept coming up with the old one and I would punch all around it and nothing would happen. So I clearly don't know how to do this, but I'm here now.
All right. You're getting closer to knowing how to do it because you are here now.
Yep.
Well, and what we were talking about was the Google Mail app. Is anybody using the Google Mail app on their phone or tablet? Is that the app you choose, or are you using the default Mail app?
I think Carolyn uses the default.
I use the default because when I tried to go on, I don't know whether you can see that or not. Can you? There's a white.
Sorta. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
It says that I have to set everything up when I downloaded the Google Mail app, even though I am a Gmail user.
Well, yeah, you'd have to set up on an iPhone. You just click on the Google there and start the setup, and it would be your email address and your password for Google, and then it would set up the app.
Right, but why would I do that as opposed to just using the Mail app? I wouldn't. That would just be double for me.
That's exactly what Apple would say too. Is why would you do that? We've given you a great app. Why would you do that?
And I like it, and it works. So I wouldn't do that just to be able to go to Meet.
Right. Well, I think the big change really makes a difference to me. I'm doing work for an organization in Arizona, and the entire organization is Google services. So the entire network, everything, every document, everything they do is in a cloud drive. They pay for a corporate subscription to Google, and so there is no server in the corner. Everything they do is through Rooms and Chat and Meets and Gmail. And I've got the Gmail app set up, and it's set up, and I'm using it simply with them. So I use my default app with everything that's default in my life, and I go to the Gmail app when I'm interacting with these folks, and the two don't have to interact with each other. So I've got I'm still doing the individual apps for Meet on my phone, but then when I'm dealing with them, I can do it all in one place. And that all in one place thing becomes more and more addictive every time you're doing it. It's not having to jump around between apps, but just sliding between pages in the same app. For example, I'm doing a chat with my supervisor, and there's something I need to reference in email, and I'm on my phone. It's just a simple matter of switching over to the email tab, as opposed to leaving the chat I'm in, going and opening a separate app, and then having two separate apps running back and forth against each other. Some of you have probably experienced this in your phones and your tablets. If you're trying to do that, many times that second app, its memory has been given up to whatever's in the foreground. So every time you go back to the second app, you're waiting. You have this wait time, waiting for things to load back up into memory so you can look at that. Whereas this eliminates that by keeping everything in the same app. So I see some real advantage to this. Maybe not for us as individuals, but for organizations like a corporation, I can see some great advantages to it. But nobody here is using the Gmail app. Everybody's using the default, and that is called the tyranny of the default. The default owns you. It always has. Whatever the default is what most people are going to end up using. It's the reason that back in the 90s, Microsoft had was brought to court in Europe for having Internet Explorer. It's the reason that the Department of Justice brought charges against Microsoft at the same time, was because they felt like it was unfair to use their monopoly power to run a default web browser. They said that was an incorrect way to behave. Because it's the default, everyone's going to use it, and you're hurting competition. Now it's hard to imagine a operating system or a device that doesn't have some sort of access to the internet in the way of a web browser. But back then they saw it as very anti-competitive to include and set a default. They're back to doing it again. They've done it with Edge. They've made it the default, and many of Microsoft's applications will not open links in anything other than the Edge web browser.
Well, that's interesting you said that, because I like to use the Google Photos, and on Windows 10, you can't
Yes.
make the Google Photos the default. So when you try to attach photos, and maybe I'm doing it wrong, when you try to attach photos, it doesn't want to show the photos in Google Photos.
What are you using for email?
Gmail.
So you're using the Gmail client in a web browser?
Yeah, I have the Gmail.
Just a tab in your web browser doing Gmail?
No, I have the Gmail downloaded. But when you go to attach
So
the
you're
photos,
using Microsoft Mail, is that right?
No, I'm using Gmail.
Well, I want to make a distinction between the client you're using and the service you're using. And the client is what you use on your computer. It's the piece of software that connects to the service. So what are you using as a client?
I'm using Google.
So you're in a web browser window. In fact, let me just switch over to my monitor.
Yeah.
You're in a web browser window like this, doing Gmail.
I have my own Gmail client. I downloaded the Gmail. I guess I'm not following. But when you try to attach photos, it goes to the Microsoft Photos. It doesn't go to the Google Photos. And I tried to make the Google Photos the primary.
This is in Windows,
account.
right?
Yes, in Windows.
Okay,
not on my tablet or my phone.
So if you're in Windows and you're doing Gmail through a web browser,
yeah,
I'm not sure what you mean by a client. I mean, you can. They've got a way of putting an icon on your desktop, but it's still the web browser client.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And when you add pictures to an email, you can either add them inline, insert a photo, or as attachments. And if you add if you add it inline, then you should have access to your photos database in the cloud. If you're following me on my display, like these are all pictures.
How do you get them?
You just click on them.
But how do you get to them in your email?
Yeah, if you attach them in, let's see if does attach do the same thing?
No, it goes to Google.
So
it goes to Microsoft.
It's the only way to get photos out of your Google Photos is to insert them using this option, insert photo. Oops, sorry. Insert photo. And then there it brings up this separate dialog, this insert photo dialog. Can you see my screen? I don't know if you're following along or not. And the first tab on it is the photos in Google Photos. You've also got albums, if you put together an album, and you're also able to upload from your computer to Google. You can also pick a web address if you have a web address to a photo. But that first tab is what you're looking for. If you're storing photos in Google Photos, then if you're storing photos in Google Photos and you use the insert photo option in Gmail, then you'll be able to pick from Google Photos what you're going to put in the email.
Okay. Maybe you could put the instructions in because I don't get it.
I'll tell you what, I'll take what I've done here since it's being recorded and I'll make a little video. Okay. It's the insert photos button you're looking at in your Gmail client.
Okay,
and I'll make a note.
Paperclip.
Right, not the paperclip. That's for attachments and that's local. You're asking to attach a local file.
Okay. Okay.
If that makes sense, yeah. And that gets really complicated if you're using a different client, if you're using like the Microsoft Mail client or the Microsoft Outlook client for email, if you're using something like that, or the Apple, the Macintosh Mail, it all gets slightly complicated because you may have all your photos in the cloud. They may all be in Google Photos, and those default clients, they don't look at the cloud for those photos.
Okay.
I have a problem anytime I receive a email that has the inline photo. If it's attachment, then I can separate that and save it or use it in a different form. But if it's inline, then I have a lot of trouble dealing with it. Just want to comment.
Being able to save it, you have problems dealing with it?
Yeah, all I can save is the email, which includes the inline. I don't save just the photo. But if it's an attachment, then I can save just the photo.
Chester, are you still using Microsoft Outlook?
Yes, and I love it.
Yeah. One thing you might try, I can't verify that this works, but you could tell me if this works, is can you grab the picture, like click and drag out of the email onto your desktop?
I've not tried that to put it on the desktop.
You just offhand, that might work. You might be able to click and hold that picture and then drag it out of the email and drop it into a window. In this case, it would be the desktop, or into a folder in the File Explorer. That may work.
Or a folder called Pictures. I may drag it over there. I'll try dragging just the picture, but in order just to save, I can save an attachment, but otherwise I have to save the whole email.
Well, and the other thing that I would definitely try before saying it can't be done is I would click on the picture with a right mouse button and see if there's an option to save image. Kind of like when you're in the web browser, there's typically an option to save the image you're clicking on.
Okay. And then you pull options for that save image if you right click. I do it all the time because I also use Outlook as my email.
Oh, good. Dave can verify it works.
Good.
Thanks, Dave.
And
that's great.
When you paste, there's also Microsoft has changed their paste stuff. So it seems like default is only text. And again, you can click there and I think it's the right image of the three. It basically allows you to paste the photo also.
I'm sorry, Dave, I didn't follow you.
I'm not sure exactly, but Microsoft has changed the cut and paste stuff, particularly the paste. There's a lot more options available now. And it seems like the default and paste is, if you're doing a whole article, it doesn't paste all the photos. It just pastes the text.
Hey, this is a little off topic, but you said they've added a bunch of features, and I'm curious, has anybody found the Windows V? This is all Microsoft. Sorry, Macintosh users. This is a Windows tip. But the Windows button, you hold down the Windows button and you press a V. The letter V, which has been used for years as Control V for paste. This is Windows button V. And what it does is it opens up a history of copied items.
Right.
And so you end up with a clipboard of items. In fact, let me switch over to my monitor real quick. If you hit Windows key V, if you guys can see that, that is a clipboard of the last 4 things that I have copied. And I can choose from it what I want to paste. And it just pasted it in there, into that document. Lots of options. Dave, thank you for being able to verify that. So Chester, that sounds like your solution is to right click on the photo you're interested in and choose a save option from it. Save image option.
I'll give that a try. Thanks.
Hey, are all these saved objects taking up space on your computer, or is it in the cloud?
I don't put anything in the cloud. I put everything in my computer. I don't trust the cloud.
Yeah, Linda, answer your question. If you're using Microsoft, then and you're set up to use their OneDrive, then it's in both places. At the moment, it would be both on your computer and it would be synchronized up into the cloud. After time, you may have an option set that a space-saving option. This exists on the Macintosh as well, where it will decide the priority of what needs to be stored locally in your computer. So after time, if you haven't accessed something, it may decide that it should just reside in the cloud until you need it next. I think it's something by default. I think it's something like 30 to 90 days. If you're opening a document within 30 to 90 days, it will remain on your computer. But if you haven't opened it, and I say 30 to 90 because I don't remember the number. So if you haven't opened it in a month or maybe 2 months or maybe 3 months, then OneDrive Sync will just decide, will free up that local space so that your device has more storage locally, and just it'll reside in the OneDrive servers. The next time you need it, it would need to download again to your computer. You would only become aware of that if you were on a very slow internet connection or no internet connection. Then you would regret having it set up like that. I don't know if does that answer any questions? Is that too much information?
My other question is, you know when somebody sends you a text message with a picture and you want to print it, sometimes it's difficult to get the picture.
That's exactly what we were talking about.
Well, Linda, you're referring to text messages. Are you talking about SMS text messages, like the classic cell phone text messages?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Depending on what platform you're receiving them on, it could be a little cumbersome to deal with because you'd have to take those out of SMS messages, get them stored locally, get them uploaded to the cloud or synchronized over to another device before you could work with. You need to get them in your gallery. That's what you need to do.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, you deal with them as a picture, as though you had taken it.
Yeah, because I found if someone sends you a picture, it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to get the picture off
the SMS text message.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's a phone by phone issue. Like on an iPhone, that's no big deal. They all deal with them exactly the same. But under Android, each Android device could be dealing with it differently.
Okay, so that's not coming with your provider.
Well, it's based on your hardware. So,
Okay.
however you're dealing with SMS messages is an old standard. Sending pictures through it's a very old standard. And then you're using typically is provided by your manufacturer. So, like I've got a Huawei piece of software for my Huawei phone. Samsung provides their own piece of software for SMS messages. Recently, well, not even recently, for years.
But I tried to put in the Google SMS. Well, you can't erase the messages. You have to go back to the original client in order to erase the messages.
You have to go back to the original client to erase the messages. I'm not sure I quite understand.
Well, on my phone, they have their client. Okay, and I didn't particularly like it. I like the Google one. It's better for trying to get pictures in.
Okay.
But I went to erase messages and clean them up, and I got this message that said I had to go back to the original client in order to clean them up.
Oh, that's infuriating.
Yeah. So you couldn't erase the Google messages that you did on there. So I just got back and went to the original.
Sorry, guys, I'm getting some weird feedback on my end.
I just heard that.
Sounded like a vacuum cleaner.
I don't know what it was. I was just trying disconnecting and reconnecting. I'm not sure why it's behaving that way.
I thought somebody was grinding coffee beans.
Oh, look at that. I think it's completely gone away now. I touched a wire.
Well, as far as messaging, in Mexico, everyone's still using WhatsApp, which is very easy to send and copy the pictures that get sent to you.
Yes.
However, it's not easy to put someone's phone number in to use WhatsApp, or at least I can't figure it out. It's really difficult.
It's tricky, but once somebody points out to you, but I keep forgetting how. I agree.
Well, most times if you've written the contact correctly in your address book, then it's available in WhatsApp.
Right.
Not if it's not
Make
for
sure
me.
make sure it has the country code as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, make sure it's got the country code, because that's the way all your contacts should be formatted now. You should be able to hit a contact and have it call them from anywhere in the world that you have service.
It seems that if you have the plus sign at the beginning, then it works.
Exactly.
Even without the country code, as long as you've got the plus.
Exactly.
The plus basically determines whether to use the country code or drop it based upon, you'll drop it if you're within the country making the call.
Great. That's good to know. I never knew. I just had to go through my contacts, and I've changed them, almost all of them, to be plus. Does that work on Mexican phone numbers as well?
Oh yes, works worldwide.
Okay.
I've been using it for probably 20 years because of so many European contacts I had.
Great. That's good to know.
And I didn't know how to get the plus sign on there for a long time, but you hold down, what is it, the 0, I think it is?
0.
Yeah, it changes to a plus sign. So
You put in a new contact now. A lot of them are coming up +1 and the area code and the number.
a lot of them come up 1. I don't know if they come up plus on mine. So.
Yeah, +1. A lot of when you put in a new contact now, it comes up that way. Because they're going to be requiring you to put in the whole thing in order to call somebody.
Well, and probably the best way to be thinking about this as we go into the future is each one of us is an individual. We're no longer somebody living in Alaska or somebody living in Mexico. We're an individual, and so that plus and that country code directs directly to your equipment, directly to where you have service. And so if you make sure that country code, area code, phone number is directly to you, as long as it's written correctly for all your contacts, you can access them from anywhere your phone is able to get connected to a phone network.
So you're telling me that I could do a Mexican phone number that's like 622-223-705 and just put a plus in front of it and it's going to work?
No, a plus 52 in front of it.
But that's not what Dave just said.
No, Dave was referring to the indicator plus. The plus indicates whether or not to use a country code. So if you use the plus, it's going to think the 6 or the 62 is the country code.
Oh, okay. Well,
but because you're in Mexico with Mexican service, then you don't have to worry about the country code. And my advice...
No, I'm in the U.S., and I've got a Mexican phone number programmed in that starts 622-222, blah, 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 blah.
Okay,
so if I put a plus in front of it, that doesn't do anything.
No, you'd have... My recommendation is that anytime you're dealing with a phone number, deal with the plus country code as well.
So I would just do a plus 52622.
That's right. And then all this dialing stuff is no longer an issue because that's the international standard now.
Oh, okay.
And so every one of your contacts should include that country code, and it will not be ambiguous.
Okay, so I still have to put in if I was in Mexico, I would put in a +1 and the phone number.
If it was in the United States, Canada, Puerto Rico, or Alaska, it would be a +1, yeah.
Okay. So Canada's a +1 as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Canada has almost the same routing as the United States. It's almost like that with different area codes. But what we should talk about sometime is their zip codes, because I don't understand what's that all about in Canada. The postal codes are made up of numbers and letters. And then every time I get a postal code from a Canadian, they break it up. And I don't get that. Like, Cheryl, give me an example of your postal code.
Okay, the letter T is at the beginning, and that stands for Alberta. So all of the provinces and territories have a letter at the beginning. Then it goes letter, number, number. So there's 6 digits, and it's always a letter, then a number, and the first letter stands for the province, and the other ones make up the combination. So
read off yours.
T8A4P9. When we were and when we were in Hinton, it was T7V1J4. When I was in Longview, it was TOLO, 1HO. So you kind of come up with a little code for yourself to be one howl only. But then we were in, anyways.
So Almost Jerry, 2 soggy oranges.
Yeah,
it is letter, number, right?
It's
Nope.
alternating letters and number. Some people put a space between the first 3 and the back 3, but a lot of websites and stuff will recognize it if you just do the 6 letter, number. But some want it divided with a space, not a dash, but a space in between, and it's ridiculous. Now, when we're in the United States, we take the numbers out of our postal code. We put 00849, and the things like the gas station recognize that our credit card is actually legit based on our zip code translation of our postal code. So the little,
You're talking about the gas pump when you're using your credit card.
or whenever I would have to use my credit card on an American site and they insist that, or if I want to enter a contest or whatever, and they insist that I have to have a zip code, I use the 3 numbers out of my code plus 00. And I always thought it was a 00 at the end, but it isn't. It's 00849. So that's my zip code in North America.
So they take the letters out and you add extra zeros.
Yep.
Oh, no wonder it's so confusing. Now, my comment was actually thinking about taking credit cards and information from Canadians for the bed and breakfast. And in my experience, I found that most would say the number with this cadence. They would say 3 digits and then 3 digits. And I always thought that was pretty awkward since it's letter, number. Why wouldn't you use the cadence of 3 individual groupings? But that's the nerd in me, I think.
Well, it's also with us, like when I come to Mexico and I see the telephone numbers, I'm looking for 3 numbers and 4 numbers. And that's not the way a lot of them are listed.
Well, it's that exact kind of cadence that's really strange. Like I start rattling off a phone number in Spanish to attack.
Yeah.
And I'm using American cadence. I'm using 3 numbers, 4 numbers.
Yeah.
And they're missing it because they're expecting 2 numbers, 3 numbers, 2 numbers, 1 number, something like that. They're expecting this strange cadence. You'll see it in old business cards where they'll have like the last set of 6 numbers are broken into 2 sets of numbers. So it's 2 numbers, 2 numbers, 2 numbers, and then it's preceded by 1 number or 3 numbers.
And it's different regions, but it's also in time. When I first had a phone number back when I was a child, it was 4 digits, and then it became 5, and then eventually it became 7, and now we even have to put the postal or the first 3, like you say, 3, 3, and 4. is typical for a North American phone number in Canada, United States. But Mexico divides it up differently. Yeah.
Well, it's cultural, right? And it's the same thing. Like, just for example, when I first got here, it was 5-digit dialing.
Right.
Right? And so you had an area code that was 6, and then your phone number, and you never dialed the 6 because you were in the local area, and the local area was 226, and then whatever. No, it was 6. Yeah, it was 6. It was. See, I'm already getting kind of confused.
Right. It's the same thing with when we're in the United States, we can phone 1-800 numbers. When we're in Mexico, those 1-800 numbers change to 1-8 something something. You know, like the whole list of telephone stuff.
Yeah, it's 877, it's 866, it's 8. In fact, we did a smartphone presentation a couple years back, and I provided all that information for people.
And I still have it.
Convoluted.
But you can also dial 1-800 numbers, except it says that the number you're calling is not toll free from your location. So if you have unlimited calling, it doesn't really matter.
Oh,
right.
I always just got not accessible.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well,
Yeah.
no,
Not
actually.
if you put +1 in front of it, no, that's not true.
Oh, there you go. That's true too. But anyways, the dialing codes are rather kind of ridiculous. So I'm going to have to go make lunch soon. I just put into our chat thing one of my recommendations I have been trying to remember the name of for a lot of weeks now. And I don't know if we're moving on to that, but if we are,
Let's do it, because we've only got about 3 to 10 minutes before we're going to get knocked off of this meeting. Let's go on to recommendations. Anything else I have here I can save till next week or disregard. And you put in a link to a Netflix title here. What is it? The Letdown?
The Letdown. I watched this a month ago, and I think I forgot to mention it, but it's one of those Australian series. And I find them really entertaining. And this one is about a woman who has had a baby, and she belongs to a parents group, and lots of different interesting characters in it. It was a good couple of days binge to get the whole thing done.
It's got 2 seasons. So that's nice. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
The Letdown. A couple of controversial kind of things and some real characters in this group, different points of view on motherhood and what it all means. So,
have we got any other recommendations? Oh, go ahead, Judy.
The Defeated on Netflix.
The Defeated, is that a series or a movie?
Defeated. It's a mini series. You know, it's I think it's one season series. Defeated. The Defeated. DEFEATED. Defeated.
Okay, what's that?
It's about Germany after the war.
A mystery? Is it in current time or is it right after the war?
And then I just finished another one, but I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, yeah.
I just finished another one, which is Helen Mirren. I seem to have been blitzing on her this year, and it was called The Good Liar. And it's related to the war in Germany as well. But Helen Mirren is dating somebody from an app. Yeah, it's a movie. The Good Liar.
The Good Liar.
And it was very, very well done. It's got a real twist to it, but basically an online dating thing where there's a con artist involved, but it's not what you think it is. So.
And the other one I just finished was Clickbait. It's I
saw that one.
A Netflix series. It was pretty good.
Was it?
Yeah. It's not the movie. There's a movie, Clickbait, but this is the limited series on Netflix.
What was it about?
Clickbait. We watched that. I'm sorry I didn't bring that up as well.
Clickbait.
Yeah,
it was pretty good.
It was, yeah, it
It's
was
about
well,
I
a
don't
guy
know, like
gets
an
taken.
online dating scam.
A guy gets taken, and
Yeah.
it's a mystery on why and what they were holding him for ransom, and there's an internet issue to it where he's on a webcam. It's
I
one
thought
of
it was
those.
pretty good.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. I just got the 10
We
minute.
also
Yes.
we also tried a new series. It's called Upload. It's just computer, and maybe Bill will have an input on it, but
Was it good?
I'm not sure if we're going to continue.
Bill, was it worth continuing Upload?
The jury's opinions vary. I wasn't real captivated by the first episode. I'll watch another couple to see if it's worth it. But I found it kind of contrived, the whole thing, and I didn't think the premise is going to hold up. But we'll see.
Okay.
I'll give it a medium.
Explain the premise.
Oh, you can have your consciousness uploaded into the cloud, so to speak, and
Just before death.
various kinds. Like you select your setting. One is a old-fashioned Victorian hotel kind of setting, and there's all kinds. And this guy is uploaded by his possessive girlfriend, who is now going to, and he can converse with her. He can contact her, and it turns out that the resort he's in, he has to pay upcharges on everything. She's got the password, and she's making sure that she retains control all the time. So it's kind of an interesting concept, but like I say, I'm still ambivalent. I'm not sure.
Right.
Well,
didn't
I
he
don't
have
mean
to die first?
Oh yeah, he died accidentally. He got killed in a self-driving car accident.
You're making me realize we did watch
Anyway,
this.
and the girl who's looking after it, like they have big companies.
Go ahead, Bill.
Go ahead.
Anyway, the girl who's runs his profile is very obviously starting to fall in love with this guy, this image of this guy. Anyway, so that's it. That's my take on it.
All right. Do we have any other recommendations? I've got 2. Judy, did you want to add something?
No, I just wanted to ask Jim if he was in Mexico yet.
No, right now we are in Abiquiu.
Nice.
On Lake Avenue, which
Nice.
is one of my new favorite campgrounds in the whole world.
Nice. I love it there.
It really is. And we're just kind of roaming down. I'm not sure when we're going to cross. We may stay here. It's really hot down there, as David will tell us. At least it looks like. So we're just kind of taking our time.
Mm-hmm.
The evenings are starting to cool down. We're right on the turn. The weather is turning.
Good.
That's kind of what I figured.
Well, it's turned, and it's frost all over the place, and it's damn cold. I'm wearing my socks, and I hate them. So I'm going to say that you guys saying it's too warm is getting a little bit too old.
And it was 40 degrees here this morning. 40.
Yes,
40.
well, we go up to 40, equivalent of 40 by the afternoon, but the wind's been so cold. Anyways, we're trying to get out of here and trying to get south, and they're meandering.
Yeah,
I know.
Judy, where are you right now?
But I'm still in Colorado.
Okay.
It's 40 degrees up here.
Yep.
Brr.
Yeah, we got a text this morning saying first snow on the mountains.
Oh, no, we had snow on Pikes Peak a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Good time for us to leave.
Exactly.
We're way
I'm
ahead
getting
of all
ready.
of
I
you.
am getting ready. I'm packing daily.
Good
So-
girl. Good girl.
That's why my furnace guy was here today checking the furnace out before I leave.
Understood.
And Sandy, when are you guys getting out of there?
Well, first of all, you need to know we finally dropped below 50. We'll be as high as 46, I think. We've had our termination dust 3 times, and it's melted. So we're looking at it coming to stay, but nobody can predict when. No snow predicted yet.
Right.
We'll leave here the 4th of November for Mesa, and then we'll come to San Carlos probably the 20th or 21st of November. I get there for birthdays.
And Thanksgiving.
Yay! We're looking forward to
Oh,
it.
yeah. Birthday, Thanksgiving, birthday, whatever. And then we'll be there for Christmas because everybody's going to Pine Top. Everybody, I mean, the Mexican family and us.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
We should
we have
start
5
rolling
minutes
out
left.
of here.
Bye,
Goodbye,
Judy.
Scott,
Judy.
you had 2.
I do have 2
Bye,
recommendations,
Judy.
but I can save them for next week. We're actually on a 5-minute countdown to we're running out of time here. So we could go ahead and start shutting this down. If there are any last minute topics that need
everybody.
to be brought up? Jim, good hanging out
I think
with
you should go to
Thanks for the
Tequila's
topic.
and run the meeting from. I think you should go to Tequila's and run the meeting from there next Tuesday, just for fun. Just for
I'm gonna
old
do
time's
that,
sake.
and I'm gonna order chilaquiles, and I'm gonna sit there and eat them while we're having me. No, I'm not. Don't hold me to that.
Bill's gone.
And bring Cesar and Sylvia on to say hello.
That's right. Maybe we'll see. I heard we were in the green. If we're in the green, I might consider doing something like that. But Judy was saying we're only in the yellow, and I need to double check. But I might consider doing it if we're in the green.
Okay.
Well, you guys have a good
I
week.
need to say something about Alaska.
Go ahead, Mom.
Go ahead, Sandy.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but Alaska is deep red. All the hospitals are now having to do you might live, so we'll take you in, but looks like you're going to die, go home. You know, they're kind of having to reach that level at points.
And Sandy, we're right with you. Alberta is in the red. We don't have that system here, but we're losing people daily. All of our ICUs are beyond capacity, and it's not good. So
That's
we
crazy.
can't wait to get out of here.
Not good here either.
See you later.
Yeah. Well,
Now,
take
be
care,
careful,
everybody.
Sandy.
See you, Fred.
So,
See you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Adios. Thanks for being with the San
Bye,
Carlos
Fred.
Computer Club. We'll see you next Tuesday. Until then, tech on. Bye, Mom.
bye, son.
Well, that's it. Right before we get cut off by Google Meet, how much time do we have? We have 2 more minutes left in this meet, but it's been a great meet. Mostly a good technology experience. I think everything went pretty well. This is Scott Stimson with International Computer Solutions and the San Carlos Computer Club. Everyone is welcome to join us. If you're a tech enthusiast, we want you to be with us on Tuesday mornings from 10-ish on till about this time, where we talk about tech topics. We catch up on COVID news. We catch up on political news. We share our stories, mostly folks that have some tie to San Carlos. But anyone is welcome. Guest speakers are welcome too. Contact me, Scott, at internationalcs.net or Scott at scclub.org. If you are interested in being a guest speaker with us, we'd be happy to have you join us for a meeting. And if you have a topic you think that is relevant to us, we would be happy to host you at our meeting. Until next Tuesday, I hope you guys have a successful week. Lots of luck, good weather, stay healthy, wear a mask, tech on.